What is up, YouTube? This is Nanashi with a brand new deck profile video. Today I'll be showing you my updated version of the Alien deck. Aliens as a whole are a bit of an under-supported archetype, aside from getting one new card in the last several years. And through the unfortunate incident of Link era, being able to control only one extra deck monster made the deck really difficult to operate without taking in a bunch of extra stuff. However, I have been able to keep the main deck 100% Alien and Reptile, and while the extra deck has been spliced around a little bit to accommodate for some new fun little strategies, I think I finally put the deck in its optimal build without having to run the Floodgate variant. Let me show you what I have. Starting off with the monster lineup, we have a playset of Alien Ammonite, the deck's A1 playmaker. Upon its normal summon, you can special summon any level 4 or lower alien monster from your graveyard, but it's destroyed during the end phase. Triple Alien Dog. When you normal summon another alien, you can special summon him from your hand, and if you do special summon him with his own effects, you can place 2 A counters on any monster your opponent controls. 2 Alien Hypno. It's a Gemini monster, so when it's on the field normally, it's just a normal monster. But if you give up your normal summon to Gemini summon him, then he can target any opponent's monster that happens to have A counters on it and gives you control of it. But during the end phase of each turn, you have to remove an A counter, and if those monsters are without A counters, you give the monster back to your opponents. But here's the cool thing, its effect is not once per turn. So if you have the ability to, say, numerate the field with A counters, you can take control of, theoretically, an entire field of monsters. Triple Alien Kid, a more generic counter producer who, as long as he's face up on the field, places 1 A counter on all special summon monsters your opponent controls. He also has what's referred to as the reduction effect, which says that for every A counter your opponent's monster has, they lose 300 attack points if they battle an alien monster. But at this moment in time, there's only 2 monsters in the main deck that I run that even have this reduction effect. 2 Alien Shock Trooper. Just a vanilla beat stick that I special summon out of the main deck through a couple of different spell cards. 1 Kageto Kage, who can special summon himself from your hand when you normal summon a monster, and that does include Alien Hypno's Gemini summon. But he cannot normal summon himself, so he's kind of a dead card in this deck at anything higher than 1. And 1 Alien Overlord. He can special summon himself from your hand by removing 2 A counters from anywhere on the field, and once per turn, he can place an A counter on all opponent's monsters. And he is the only other one with the reduction effect. Next, we move into the spell cards. Starting with a trio of A-Cell Recombination Device. You target a monster on the field, send an alien from your deck to the graveyard, and then place A counters on that monster equal to the level of the monster you sent to the graveyard. And while the spell card's in the graveyard, you can banish it to add any alien monster from your deck to your hand, but not during the turn that it went to the graveyard, of course. Code Ancient Ruins, a perfect accomplice card to use in tandem with Recombination Device. Each time an alien monster is destroyed, you place 1 A counter on this card. But once per turn, you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to special summon an alien monster from your graveyard. And that's a soft once per turn, so if you had a way to bounce this back to your hand continuously, you could use it any number of times. 1 Dark Hole, staple. 1 Monster Reborn, which I'm happy to see back even if it is temporary. 2 MST, and triple Unexpected Die, purely to special summon the 2 copies of Alien Shock Trooper. And since I'm running 3 of it and 2 Shock Trooper, you really don't want to normal summon the Shock Trooper from your hand unless you dead draw it. You want to special summon it from your deck. And now we move into the trap cards. Starting with the staple double bottomless trap hole, and triple Brainwashing Beam. You target a monster with an A counter your opponent controls, and you take control of it. But during each end phase, you have to remove an A counter from it, otherwise the monster is destroyed. The reason this matters is because you don't need to control an alien, the monster just has to have at least 1 A counter. And I can tell you this right now, this card has won me a lot of games. Double Fiendish Chain in the main deck. It seems weird to run this in the main deck after so long, but because of one of my extra deck monsters being able to return face-up spells and trash back to the hand, I'm able to enable some really stupid moves. 1 Offerings to the Snake Deity. You target a reptile you control, and 2 cards your opponent controls, and destroy all 3. The reason this matters is because you can actually get a counter using this off of Code Ancient Ruins. Triple Planet Pollutant Virus. You tribute an alien, destroy all face-up monsters without A counters your opponent controls, and until the end of your opponent's third turn after this card was activated, all monsters they summon, and that's any summon, gain 1 A counter. And of course the staple Solemn Warning. Next we move into the side deck. Starting with 1 copy of Alien Hypno, and 1 copy of Alien Telepath, an older monster that I used to use in the main deck, who has the ability to remove an A counter on the opponent's side of the field to destroy a spell trap your opponent controls, and who also has a reduction effect, but I realized he really doesn't do anything mechanically for the deck. He was more or less just another 4-star target when I would run Kage Kage at higher numbers. Speaking of which, there's the second copy right there, as well as the second copy of Alien Overlord, and a pair of Mysterious Triangles. Used to run this in the main, but now that I'm running less 4-star monsters, it was kind of a moot point. It would destroy a monster on the field with an A counter, and then special summon any level 4 alien from your deck, but destroying it during the end phase. So you could do some neat combos with this, but you would need a higher monster count to make it work now. The third MST is also in here. Compulsory, Mirror Force, another offering to the Snake Deity, Triple Rivalry of Warlords. This is one of the recommended cards that a lot of people were telling me to put in my type-specific decks, and I fully understand why. It's a fantastic card. Each player can only control 1 type of monster at a time. All other types have to be sent to the graveyard. And 2 Torrential Tribute. They're in the side because I already have a copy of Offering and 3 copies of Planet Pollutant in the main, so running these just kinda seemed unnecessary and or kinda like overkill. And finally, we finish up with the extra deck. Starting off with a single copy of Herald of the Arclight, a recommendation by my own wife, and I've seen exactly what it can do. It is worthwhile when you run it. Any monster sent from the hand or main deck to the graveyard is banished instead, and during either player's turn, when a spell, trap, or monster effect is activated, you contribute this card to negate it. Still running 1 copy of Old Entity Hastor, whom when it goes from the monster zone to the graveyard becomes an equip card on an opponent's monster, negating its effects and preventing its attacking. And if this card leaves the field again, you gain control of the monster that it was equipped to. I thought this would be a great card when Link Era came around, because I was expecting us to get some kind of Reptile Link monster, but without it, it's really just kind of a gimmicky 4-star that Herald of the Arclight is kind of better at being. Triple Cosmic Fortress Golgar, though, will never be a bad idea in this deck. Once per turn, you can return face-up spell traps back to the hand and place new A counters on the field equal to the number you returned, and you can remove 2 A counters from anywhere on the field to destroy 1 card your opponent controls. Number 49, Fortune Tune. A little bit of a techie card in the event that I get too many alien dogs. During each of your standby phases, you gain 500 points. It cannot be targeted by card effects, and if it would be destroyed, you can attach a material instead. And if it actually goes to the graveyard, you can target 2 level 3 monsters in your grave, put them back in the deck, and put this back in the extra deck. Still running the triple King of the Feral Imps though, because there's enough level 4s to warrant it. Once per turn, you can attach a material from this to add a reptile from your deck to your hand of any level. Moving into the Link section, we have 1 Link Spider. Requires 1 normal monster, and once per turn you can special summon a normal monster from your hand to its zone it points to. Then we have 1 Akashic Magician. The only real effect that I care about is the fact that when it's summoned, you can bounce any monsters that it points to back to the owner's hand, which punishes your opponent for running something like Decode Talker or Saryuja's Skulldread. Also a Proxy Dragon. If a card or cards you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy one of your monsters this card points to instead. Also a pair of Underclock Taker. Once per turn, you can target a face-up monster it points to, and a face-up monster your opponent controls. The opponent's monster loses attack points to the original targets. And finally, 1 Decode Talker. Gains 500 attack for each monster it points to, and when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a card or cards you control, you contribute a monster this card points to and negate the activation, and if you do, destroy the card. And that is the deck! Building this deck to be 100% reptile type in the main was a bit of a challenge, even to this day. But through the use of stealing my opponent's monsters from my own Link summons, I have enabled this deck to go a little bit farther. But that being said, I still feel like we deserve a reptile-type link monster. It doesn't even have to have an effect, it just has to be a reptile type that doesn't require anything too specific and points bottom left and bottom right, and I'd be perfectly happy with that as the extra deck monster of choice when it comes to the link variety for this deck. But even if we don't get one anytime soon, I still feel like this deck is perfectly viable and playable, even if its biggest weakness is in fact its reliance on its back row to continuously get moves. I hope you guys like the deck profile, and if you can think of any way that I can improve this reptile type deck, feel free to let me know. But in the meantime, this has been Nanashi, signing out.
What's the next stage? What's the next stage?